Do you like being alone, or do you hate it? Some people think of being alone as a bad thing. It either means you're antisocial or unwanted, neither of which are a good position to be in. During this COVID-19 crisis, many have to stay home and are unable to meet their friends and family. Maybe being alone during this time is particularly painful. But actually, being alone isn't necessarily a bad thing, as there are a handful of benefits that emerge once you learn to embrace solitude. Once you learn to enjoy being alone, you're going to grow as a person. Below are 10 amazing things that will happen in your life when you start to enjoy being alone. You'll get to recharge. Oftentimes, when we're surrounded by other people, we're expending a lot of energy, trying to keep others happy, make them laugh, soothe their egos, read their emotions, and all of the other rigors that come along with regular interaction. It can be mentally draining if you're constantly connected to other people. A little alone time lets you recharge and take a break from the emotionally and mentally taxing job of constant interaction. Your life is always moving at a crazy fast pace. So fast, in fact, that it's probably rare when you have a moment alone to sit and reflect on your life. Being alone gives you the perfect opportunity for a little self-reflection. When you start to enjoy being alone, you'll gain a greater perspective for your own emotions. You'll create a deeper understanding of what makes you happy, what upsets you, and what saddens you. With that knowledge, it's then easier to regulate your emotions. But it all starts with understanding how you feel, and that comes from a little bit of solitude. When you're constantly in the company of other people, you're always making compromises in order to find solutions that the entire group can enjoy. And unfortunately, the things you want most may not always line up with what the group wants. So it's easy to enjoy being alone once you realize that doing so gives you more freedom to do the things you actually want to do. Being in the company of other people can be fun and entertaining, but it can also seriously affect your productivity. There are times when the company of other people acts as nothing more than a distraction from getting your work done. Time spent alone can be some of the most productive time in your life, mostly because there are fewer distractions and you can just put your head down and get to work. When you spend time alone on a regular basis and eventually start to enjoy being alone, you'll come to find that you also enjoy your relationships with other people even more. The time spent alone gives you a greater appreciation for yourself. It also lets you appreciate all the great things that come from your relationships with other people, most of which you were oblivious to before. Once you enjoy being alone, you'll feel more confident in your ability to actually be alone. And that naturally leads to you feeling more independent. You'll no longer feel that anxiety or burning desire for company once you learn to enjoy being alone. You won't feel the need for constant interaction with other people, or the anxiety associated with looking around and seeing no one but yourself. Life is filled with relationships, and most relationships only last when both people are kept happy. And that can turn into a draining job, depending who that relationship is with. Once you're alone, the only person's happiness you have to worry about in that moment is your own. You can treat yourself to things that makes you happy, but may have upset someone else. When you start to enjoy being alone, you'll quickly see that solitude means you don't have to keep apologizing for what you've done. So often, we do things that end up upsetting other people or hurting someone else's feelings, and then have to quickly apologize for it. But when you're alone, you don't have to apologize for anything. And that takes a lot of pressure out of most situations. So often we feel the need to get the okay from our friends and family before we take action. We constantly look to other people for advice on what we should do next. Of course, there are times when it's not only perfectly acceptable to ask for advice, but downright necessary. But there are also times where we're perfectly capable of acting on our own instead of looking to others for an answer.